this is right when social justice is getting stirred up, the whole thing. And like, social justice it was a part of the conversation since I was a teenager, in the late 90s, because as a cross-cultural missionary, we were so aware in our neck of YWAM that we didn't want to bring Western culture to these people. We wanted to bring Christ.
Right.
And and this may have actually precipitated my deconstruction, because then I'm like, do I even understand my culture? And
that's a hugely important point that I haven't heard enough people make, because in my missionary experience, again, this is that perspective on, these different waves of these different missionary waves. And so kind of a post-mortem to 19th century classical missionary is that, well, boy, they sure imported a whole bunch of culture in with the gospel. And so now when we do it at the end of the 20th century, we're going to be very careful, and we're just going to give them the gospel, but not the culture. And in a lot of ways, that idea is fairly deeply set in the DNA of neo-evangelicalism too, because it wants to say, here in the United States, you had this patchwork of immigrant communities, many of which came from Europe and had, gospel church traditions that came with Roman Catholic, Protestant, so on and so forth. Then you had some Native American Christianities, such as Jehovah's Witnesses, LDS. Those are really Native American Christianities because they spring up in America. It's separate from Native American religions, which are pre-Columbus. But I think that as people are working through the social justice conversation within the realm of evangelicalism, that point that you made is not sufficiently thought through, because a lot of this comes out of a greater attentiveness to culture and missionary efforts. So I just wanted to mark that.
Yeah, that was really good. And a lot of what was kind of considered cutting edge in YWAM world was this kind of thinking, like that we needed to. Like when you go over, you learn language, but not only that, you need to learn their culture, and you need to, adopt some of their ways that make sense, and this is like, you have to be discerning and you have to be wise about it. And, because you don't want to adopt some sort of demon worship. And then, and this is the balancing act that, while I was in ministry, that people were talking about. And the YWAM base in Colorado Springs is targeted towards the 1040 window. So it's North Africa and South Asia. And it's unreached peoples that have never heard of Jesus. So they're training people to go specifically to people who have no idea even about Western culture sometimes, and then try to present the gospel to them.
Yep.
And usually it involves, just language learning and culture learning and all that stuff. And then, and I met quite a few like crazy characters. Like when I was in India, there was this YWAM guy, and he felt called to minister to the Hindu holy men who basically live in the temple, and they wear robes, and they I guess they just get food from offerings and stuff, so they don't have jobs or anything, and they're very ascetic, and they'll do strange practices to try to show devotion or ascend or what, I don't understand that. But this YWAM guy, man, he's this white dude, but he grew out these huge long dreadlocks like they do. He wore the robe, he lived in the temple, he basically adopted the Hindu holy man life, and in order to bring Christ to them. And and I just remember that like I felt so, I felt so divorced from my own culture. And so I really wanted to, I guess I really wanted to get into it. I really wanted to, as much as this this white guy with dreadlocks
Yeah,
got into
yeah,
it.
yeah.